I haven't actually, I haven't uploaded anything to YouTube for a while, but you know what? That ends today. I'm back. We've got some patch notes. It's Halloween. You can have a paper bag on your head. The candy corn gobbler is back. Vindicator catching some nerfs because of World vs. World. I'm sure that's going to go down well. Annoying ranger builds getting nerfed as well in PvP and World vs. World. Berserker getting nerfed. I mean, look at this. CMC, he's just on a rampage. He's on an absolute rampage, my friends. And as a bit of an added bonus here, check this out. I'm just going to say this right now. We're skipping the intro. We're talking about this now. Added an exotic backpack for heavy, medium, light, and aquatic headgear in the World vs. World gear vendor. So let me be clear. You can now fully gear every single item slot from World vs. World at ludicrously cheap prices, including your backpack now. This is absolutely insane. This means that World vs. World is by far the easiest way to gear up your alts to be ready for action. Not Ascended, of course. This is just exotic gear, but, that's going to get you started at least, right? This is by far the fastest, easiest, and cheapest way to get gear, because you can directly buy every single item slot from the same vendor with very low gold cost, and of course some World vs. World currency. I actually am a big fan of this. I do love to see that. Very, very cool stuff, actually. So yeah, well done there. And yeah, go play some World vs. World and gear some alts, I guess. But anyway, on to the news. Of course, we have Halloween, and there actually is, check this out. This is going to get memed a little bit. I'm actually, you know what? I'm going to give the real take. They actually added an easier version of the clock tower. And you know what? Yeah, I'm actually kind of a fan for it. I think players actually did find this very frustrating and got stuck with this. It's not like the old version is gone or anything. So now players can kind of do the jumping puzzle without the time pressure, without the spinning, I guess, right? That can also be quite disorientating. Yeah, you know what? Memes aside, you can lol this, you can mock this if you want, but actually, no, I stand by the stopped clock tower. I think this is cool. I think players will now be able to enjoy this without, getting stressed out or having issues with dexterity and so on. Yeah. And, if you don't want to do it, then go do the other one, I guess. There you go. I think difficulty settings are good. I'm a difficulty setting enjoyer. Always have been, right? Simple as that. New rewards as usual. Nothing too crazy there. Like, go get the paper bag. Go get the meta skin. Blah, blah, blah. Look, I don't even need to read you that. Like, you guys know what's going on here, right? You know what the hell's going on with this stuff. And yeah, November 7th, that's of course, yeah, that very seriously implies that that is the next patch. We have expected this for a long time, by the way, so a little bit of information here. We're very much expecting the next patch for Guild Wars 2, like the first story update or whatever, and the Strike CM, etc., to be on November 7th. This definitely strongly implies that that is going to be the case. As well, so definitely stay tuned for that. Of course, that means we should be expecting, kind of a trailer or some kind of information about this pretty soon, actually, so stay tuned for that. Some bug fixes, too, and actually I like these. These are really random bug fixes, by the way. Look, they fixed the leyline anomaly, the Bandit Executioner, random story bugs as well got fixed. I actually like this, what this is actually communicating, because we've consistently seen patches like this with a lot of these notes. That means they actually have devs assigned to fixing bugs. And you know what? There's still a lot of pretty major issues, and I'm not totally expecting them to fix the ones in instance content. I'd really like them to, because there's obviously a lot of pretty serious bugs in strike missions and fractals that I'd love to see fixed. And raids too, actually. That would be really cool. But I do like that they very clearly have some developers assigned to actually fixing stuff that is broken. Big fan of that, actually. I like that. And of course, now we actually get to the balance section. So, Relic of Leadership, they fixed it. This was actually converting all conditions. All conditions into boons. So obviously very, very broken. But now they have actually fixed that. You love to see that. It's obviously still going to be, it's a decent effect, right? It's like a condition conversion. Any kind of conversion effect is always pretty good. But yeah, it was maybe a little bit too strong. And then some changes kind of aimed at competitive modes here. A bit of a collateral damage, which we'll get into in a moment. But yeah, PvP changes. So Chronomancer damage is going down. Yep. Could have seen this one come, and I'm actually surprised it took them so long, actually. This build, very, very powerful. Power Chronomancer, massive damage output. Definitely a popular build. Just getting toned down a little bit here. Necromancer in World versus World. Death Nova. It's actually so funny. These two skills are such a menace. Death Nova and Rise. Look, Rise. So this is the minion shout that says you summon an extra minion for each target you hit with your shout. It's one target in World versus World. This ability has been a bit of a problem in World versus World for a long time. Hard skill to balance because, of course, the more targets you have, the more damage you can soak, right? And that's kind of the same thing here with the Lich minions, especially when they then explode and deal, you know, pretty heavy damage in an AoE when those minions die, right? So you kind of have this weird, it mitigates damage and does a lot of damage at the same time. So trying to remove that, essentially, they're trying to kill that gameplay in World versus World, right? Let's not piss about it. They're trying to kill it. Let's see if they succeed this time. They've tried a couple of times, and now they're trying again. I mean, this skill has been honestly completely dumpstered in World versus World. It's actually so funny. It's been rendered complete garbo. Let's see if it actually is rendered complete garbo, though. But yeah, don't worry, Necro mains, by the way. Like, Necro is pretty much one of those classes that it'd be pretty hard to make it bad in World vs. World just because of how much corruption potential it has, in addition to, like, it's just, you know, Wells are such an iconic and useful skill in the context of World vs. World. Necro's not going anywhere. They're just trying to get rid of the really obnoxious gameplay. Ranger, and this is Ranger this is Core Ranger and Soul Beast and Untamed, all getting nerfed. And actually, they're finally basically done the same nerf in World vs. World that they had in PvP to one wolf pack on Soul Beast. This is probably one of the most notorious roaming builds that I think makes people want to absolutely smash their keyboard and uninstall with some insane one-shot potential. To be honest, I think it's still gonna basically one-shot you anyway, because of course you have Ascended Gear and food, right? And you know, you can go crazy, you can stack 25 might and just like do insane damage in World vs. World, but you're going to get a little bit less one-shot, I guess, now. So slightly less insane unhinged burst with one wolf pack here in World versus World. Signet of the Hunt. Amazing skill, right? Very strong utility skill. Gives you super speed, makes you unblockable. This is an all-round amazing ability, honestly, for Ranger. Cooldown going up. Definitely still a powerful skill, though. I'd imagine you're still going to run this on a lot of these Ranger builds, simply because super speed and unblockable are incredible effects, right? Like being able to get through the defenses, especially if you have a crowd control ability that you can then essentially stun someone when they're not expecting it, or knock them when they're not expecting it, is just an incredibly good bit of kind of bunker busting utility that Ranger is still going to love. It's just trying to take it down a little bit here as well. Just a little bit. Similarly with Untamed, and this is a little bit of a theme. Some of the sustain is coming down on some of these builds. That, you know, I think ArenaNet want builds to do damage, right? They want them to do a good amount of damage output. And they're very cautious of turning into a bunker meta. They want the meta to stay fast. It's pretty fast right now. They don't want to slow it down too much, but they do want to make sure that things aren't very, very sustainy. Not the biggest nerf in the universe here on Natural Fortitude. Basically, this is the lifesteal on your Unleash attacks. So you're nerfing the burst damage a little bit here, but also nerfing some of the resustain that you get from this ability. Let Loose no longer grants Fury in PvP in World versus World. This is actually a nerf to, like, the quickness. This is the quickness trait, basically, in PvP in World vs. World, so like lower boon application here as well. And multi-shot. Fixed a bug that allowed the skill to be fired behind the user. Nice. That's a funny bug, you know, I'm not gonna lie. That is pretty funny. But yeah, I think people are gonna be happy with these changes. I think some of the Ranger builds, especially in PvP, are quite frustrating to play against and have been historically quite frustrating to play against. I think this will actually help a good amount, actually. With that, to be honest. Maybe some design tweaks down the line might be necessary, but, you know, these are some minor... This is not a balance patch. This is just some, like, little hot fixes, right? Some little, you know, little adjustments, basically. Coming up is going to be Revenant. And here is the collateral damage. Miss Swing. This is the auto attack on Greatsword. Target cap goes from 5 to 3. This is a World versus World nerf. You might be thinking, why didn't they split this? So... They can't split this, is my understanding. And that's not an insider source. This is just, like, my kind of, like, read on the situation. Because they did this with Spectre Shroud as well. There are some things they can't split. And I believe kind of very baseline functionality, like the animation or the target cap or a hard-coded value, they can't split that. So this is a little bit of collateral damage from a World versus World nerf into PvE. And my concern here isn't actually with making Greatsword not good. It is in a bit of a weird spot in PvE right now where Sword and Greatsword have this really weird overlap. This is my concern here. They need to be very careful not to make Sword and Greatsword for Revenant too similar in what they actually deliver. A big differentiation, of course, was that Greatsword had a 5-target auto attack and Sword has only 3. And of course, you do still have 5-target on Greatsword with the second skill, for example. However, it's already weird where Sword and Greatsword almost do exactly the same damage in PvE, so I think we do need to see some changes to differentiate these weapons, with Sword maybe having lower AoE damage and like way higher AoE damage on your Greatsword in some other way, maybe looking at some of the other abilities to compensate for this, but it's more of like, I'm just talking about this from like an RP perspective. It's not good for the weapons to be the same, right, or too samey. And of course there are, it's a two-headed weapon, right, so, Greatsword has more skills, it has a block on it has like a leap movement skill. So it's not like they're exactly the same weapon, but this does kind of push them together a little bit more. So I think ArenaNet do need to be a little bit careful with that. But I mean, a lot of builds in World vs. World were certainly overperforming. So it's not going to be a bad change. In that regard, same thing with True Strike. True Strike, this is the ability that when you block, you gain more damage on a mega swing. And of course, in World vs. World, you could really juice that up and do insane damage, right? And just like wallop people. It's pretty good in PvE too on fights like Bone Skinner, where you can actually, stand on an AoE and channel it up and then, unleash a massive attack. And, well, you can see how good this was, right? They're actually nerfing it really hard. Like, that's actually a massive nerf. Look at that, 0.3 to 0.05. Absolutely brutal. So I guess they want this to be more of a defensive skill in World vs. World. Less of a damaging skill, I guess. Holy shit. Ouch. But there you go. And then Thief, main thing here is the Spectre nerf. This ability here, Endless Night, this is the dual skill with, it is Scepter Pistol, right? Endless Night. It is an unbelievably good skill. One of the most powerful abilities in the Spectre arsenal for PvP. It fires out this beam that does damage, it torments, it slows, all this kind of stuff. I think the really big thing here is actually the slow duration. I want to say halving the slow duration. Slow is an unbelievably powerful ability to have in PvP because, if your opponent can't use their skills fast, they can't CC you, they can't heal themselves, they can't do damage. It's like a massive debuff, right, to apply to your opponents. So reducing that duration, actually a really, really big deal. Damage also going down as well. And this kind of makes sense. This is an ability that's kind of pretty hard to deal with, to be honest. It's a beam style ability, and it's a thief skill, right? So they can use it on you again and again and again, and that can stack up a lot of slow and deal some pretty serious damage to you at the same time. So it definitely makes some sense. To kind of tone that down a little bit. Spectre and just in general Thief, it's not in a bad spot in PvP, so I would certainly expect to still see Spectres, but they're just trying to tone it down a little bit, just kind of reduce some of the power. Similarly here for Berserker, this is probably like the absolute menace build, and I feel like they've actually gone quite gentle on it here in PvP. Again, kind of looking at the sustain and its evasiveness a little bit, more so than the amount of damage it does. Again, they want to keep it a pretty high DPS build and just make it live a little bit less. So we have lower stability uptime from Eternal Champion. That's when you go in Berserk. Savage Instinct, you have the damage immunity when you go into Berserk as well. That's down to 1 second. So that's a pretty big nerf there, obviously, right? 2 seconds from 1 second. That's a significant change. And then Sundering Leap, cooldown goes up as well. So like less mobility and less Berserk uptime, all that kind of stuff. And then also some World vs. World nerfs. Of course, Berserker, one of the more powerful damage output builds in World vs. World. Just a few damage nerfs here. Less power. 150 power in World vs. World down from 300, and reduce the precision to ferocity conversion from 10 to 5% in World vs. World only. That's a pretty significant change. It's still going to hit like a truck, I feel like, and do a lot of damage, but just a little bit less. And again, this is, we should definitely contextualize these changes here. These changes are very much in the vein of a small little hotfix, and then larger adjustments can be made later in the actual skills update if necessary. Just kind of be aware with that. So that's what's going on. This is not like a full balance patch. This is some hot fixes that they've kind of got in there. So if this isn't enough for Berserker in PvP, they'll go further, right? And what this is signaling to you as a player is that Arena are aware of the issues, and they're pretty bang on here. I'm not going to lie, actually. Berserker, definitely one of the problematic specs. Ranger for sure as well. Etc. Like this is like an awareness check. Like ArenaNet kind of know what's going on, and they're kind of notifying the players that they do understand the builds that need to be looked at. This is true of Bladesworn as well. Like, Bladesworn is a build that maybe isn't even on people's radar as much, but yeah, very strong in PvP, heals itself a lot, very sustainy, and they're just kind of taking down that sustain. Again, like, ArenaNet are very conscious. They do not want another Scourge meta where nothing ever dies and you have, like, games that are 15 minutes long with 200 points, right? So, there you go. They nerfed it a little bit. Enjoy. Less barrier, less healing on the heal skill, just in general, and slower ammunition recharge on the pistol skill there as well. Wow. What a set of changes there, guys. That is absolutely fantastic stuff. Yeah, pretty cool there. I like they're fixing bugs, some solid balance changes in my opinion. And yeah, you can go, you know, I like the clock tower difficulty setting as well. And I also like that they brought the candy corn gobbler back. And actually, that brings me to the final section of this. It's time to actually do a little bit of complaining about the Black Lion Trading Company. This one, I'll just grumble. I'm not going to grumble real quick, then we're actually going to roast. So, number one, I'm grumbling about this skin. This skin is actually really good, and it's a Black Lion chess exclusive. That annoys me. Normally, most of this stuff is honestly crap, so who cares if it's in a loot box? But this is actually fucking sick. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I admit this, even I kind of want this. It's a glider chair combo, and you can glide around in a helicopter. That is actually very cool. I like that. I don't like that that's in a loot box. Of course, you can get it from statuettes, but, well, eventually anyway. I'm not sure if you can do that now. But where do you get the statuettes from? That's right, loot boxes. Not good. This is the kind of stuff that I'd love to be part of, you know, like an achievement set or something like that. You know, something like, you know, you could think about it in the Icebridge Saga with, like, the whole char theme. That would be pretty cool. Yeah, also, ArenaNet, they tried to fix the fast loading screen raid spot, but ha! You couldn't stop me, I'm still here, okay? But actually, let's actually move on to the actual main roast. Okay, wait. It won't even let me... Okay, thank you. Right, main roast. New thing. Weekly Black Lion supply package. This is something that you can buy every week in the gem store. And, in my opinion, this is actually not the standard of consumer friendliness that I have come to expect from ArenaNet. This is, in my opinion, not good. I don't like it. This is FOMO. You buy it every week, right? So if you don't, you're potentially missing out. And the stuff in it sucks. It's loot boxes, die unlock, basically worthless, heroic booster, incredibly overpriced and overvalued in this package, and 5 transitation charges. Again, especially with the Wizard's Vault, this is kind of junk. And you can say, just don't buy it then. And you know what? That's a completely true statement, but irrelevant to the fact that ArenaNet is a company that is very consumer friendly compared to a lot of their contemporaries in the gaming industry. And I believe this to simply be a slight dipping of that standard, in my opinion. I do not like this. I don't like that it's weekly. I don't like that it has junk in it. And I think it is actually somewhat unbecoming of ArenaNet. I have no problem with them selling skins. They got to make their money. Obviously, that's totally fine. Okay, I like the Candy Corn Gobbler. That's definitely worth a pick up there. Get your infinite boosters there as well. But this is the kind of thing that, to be honest, I'm not actually a big fan, actually. I am not a big fan of this. I hope they... You know what? I'll go even say it. I actually hope they even reconsider actually having this in the store. I don't like that they have Black Lion keys flat out. Again, like, you know, it's very weird that the most consumer-friendly MMO has loot boxes. However, I think this is actually also not something that I like to see. I don't really have anything else to say other than that. I don't like this. I don't like this. And I hope we don't see more things like this, because I really do believe that ArenaNet is actually one of the good companies. I mean that unironically in a non-meme sense, and I don't want to see that image tarnished in any way, even if it is a little bit of a small tarnish. I don't think this is like the end of the universe. Realistic, like, who cares? You know, it's trash, right? You don't like have to buy this, and or you're gonna get griefed or something. But again, it's the principle here that I'm kind of the principle that I'm arguing, rather than like, oh yeah, it's the end of the game, right? In principle, I do not like this, and I don't think you should like this either. I do kind of like the gyrocopter chair glider combo, though. I'll give you that. That's pretty good. But anyway, that is the news! Fix an issue that caused chickens to be slightly embedded in the ground when viewing a preview of the Endless Mystery Foul Tonic. See, these are the bug fixes that we need. When are you guys going to fix the Desolation meta event that's been bugged since release? How about that one? Hey, there it is. Oh yeah, we did get new special tasks. They really go crazy on these things. It's like 1 million new special tasks, guys. That's crazy. Go get your wizard coins. Ah, and there's one for the labyrinth as well. Very exciting. But yeah, get in there, farm your wizard coins, farm your game, and that's it, guys. But anyway, that's it. The news has been completed. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about all of this kind of stuff. Follow, subscribe, and you know what? We're going to do this. For the people who came all the way to the end of the video, stay tuned for my Guild Wars 2 Secrets of the Obscure review. That is right, guys. I've actually basically got my outline for it. I'm going to be recording that and getting that edited up and on YouTube pretty soon. So definitely subscribe for that. Anyway, that's it. Take it easy, gamers. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, watch on Twitch. I'm out of here. Take it easy, gamers. I'm done.